This week's 30-30 list is jam-packed with a whole lot of momentum leaders, and we're in sort of the top 9 out of 10 or 90% of the weeks we see this much momentum. So there are opportunities everywhere. And Gary's going to try fitting in as many as he can into this week's list because the top 30 momentum companies for the last quarter is full of top trading opportunities. There's also the top 30 launchpad stocks. That's where they show up first before they become momentum leaders. They've got a bit more on the boil in the last week. This list goes out to members on a Thursday afternoon at the same time that Gary gets it, and they get to send through their requests, which we have a lot of this week, and we'll see why in the charts. Gary's also going to share with us some insights that he's helping shape his portfolio trading or his own trading and what to get the best out of. So a lot of charts there, Gary. We know there's a lot happening. There's so many opportunities. Portfolios are running hot if you're a momentum trader. So how are you this Friday morning?
Yeah, the market is absolutely on fire at the moment, Chris. It's your list there is like there's so much happening on that list. You could literally just spend hours and hours just going through the list here today and studying the obviously the quarterly winners and then looking at the daily winners as well. We got VCPs, we got carbon handles, we got 52-week highs. We've just got momentum leaders that are just on fire. This market is absolutely on fire here. I'm having one of my biggest days of the year today personally. So pretty happy with that overall, but I'm just playing the leaders. I really am just trying to follow strength there, and kind of makes me like, I was sort of listening to IBD, How to Make Money in Stocks, William O'Neill, sort of listen to the audiobook there. And I just sort of, going through the chapter on selling, so selling's a pretty, probably the toughest part, to momentum traders, when to sell and in different sort of sell signals there. But I did love the analogy there about like retailers and stuff, like a good retailer, because my wife works in the retail game, has done for 20 years, and good retailers would make good stock or good momentum traders, because good retailers there, if they've got product on the shelves that's not selling, it's not moving, what are they going to do? They're going to discount it. They're going to cut it. They're going to move it on. The stuff that's selling, it's hot. What are they going to do? They got to buy more of it, try and get it in fast they can, sell it fast they can. So like momentum trading here, we want to be in the sectors that are hot. So we want to be getting more of those sort of sectors that are moving. It's the stuff that's actually the stocks that aren't moving in our portfolio. Like in this market here, we have got, yesterday there was so many signals there. I don't know where to, I was like, which one do I go for? The list was just endless. There was so many opportunities setting up here yesterday. It was unbelievable. So you do need to cull, and we do need to learn how to sell here. So, it's probably the hardest thing about momentum trading in general, but I think that retail concept is a great one. You hear it all from all the great traders with all, Chris. Stick with the strongest names, cull the weakest names. And that's exactly what the best retailers in this country do. Exactly that. They cut the stuff that's not selling, move it on, and they bring in more of the stuff that is moving. So retailers and momentum trading got a lot in common there, and that's definitely, I think it's a great analogy there. I think William O'Neill used it in one of the books there, but I think it's just spot on for what we're doing here, particularly when you get a market like this that's just on fire. I was saying yesterday, Chris, that XJO, you can see how the index had this strong move here. There's guys out there saying, it's bearish, overpriced. Like, you can't fight the tape. You can't fight that momentum. That market, the XJ has bounced back to the high here within 3 months. That is strength. And then we've had a little pullback there. And look at the size of that pullback. Small. Tighter.
I think if we look, maybe last week or the week before, you were saying to me there's a VCP in the XJO.
Yeah. Mate, if there wasn't so many signals yesterday, I would have bought gear, because this was a cracking signal here just buying the index. But there were so many good signals there everywhere. We had lots of those little tightening patterns there, sitting under the highs, breaking out to your highs. As soon as I saw that employment data yesterday, Chris, was weak, I thought, oh man, that means market's going to get buoyed by that, because if there's less jobs, then it's going to force the RBA to cut rates, and then everyone's going to love cut rates. So, by the end of the day, the market finished so strong here. It's no surprise to me it's kicked on here, but just see how tight that is. If you go and study the US market, the leaders, they all have that same tightening pattern. All these stocks have had these small pullbacks, tight, no correction there. That's not a market that's weak here. That's a market that's just showing strength there. We've just broken out here. So that I posted a chart on Twitter there of 2005, Chris, which our market was exactly the same as this. It's very similar, tightened up, then went through, and I had a fair pop here. So yeah, I know there's a lot of stocks look expensive here, but there's still some sectors that have got some run here. So let's go through some of the big winners. So I'm going to try and go through quick there, just because there's so many moving here. PUA is a bit of a small name, but that goes on the watch list just because it's had a good run and good volume. I think FAL was sort of similar to the first one there. Good run, good jump here. Not much congestion here. So you just got to wait for those things to sort of to tighten up here and pull back here. DTR was sort of one that I did really like the look of this here. That's when you sort of have that big 100% gain move, and then you pull back, and then we talk about that market strength. So see that strength first, pull back, congest, tighten up, and then break out there. And you saw a really nice VCP setting up here. It was just too small for me personally, but coming through here, there's 10.5 cent mark there. That whole VCP tightened up there, and look at the volume. Volume profile was just bang on. So volume was strong here out of this low, pulls back here 2 or 3 days, no selling. First day up, bang, pulls back again, no selling. I mean, you could cheat on this. It's a market here at the moment. It's on fire here. And I don't like to cheat personally. I like to wait for the break here, but you're seeing, you're not seeing the selling coming. You're not seeing distribution days. You're just seeing strength of the way up, pull back by the volume, strength of the way up, pull back by volume. That is strong. That's a strong sign of a strong market here. So seeing that across the board here. So that's, it's a sign of strength here. So that looks pretty good there. What else we got there? ARR is really interesting there. This is a good lesson here. This stock here, I mean, look how explosive that is. It's a bit weird on the daily. It doesn't really give you much of a look there. But this is one of those stocks that's had a big move, congestion, big move here. This would have chopped you up. This would have, me personally, see how the whole thing tightened up in here, made a little bit of a B wave down here, and then did break a B wave probably this week here on the weekly. But then didn't follow through, and then came back, then set up again, maybe another little B wave break here, again didn't follow through, had a pullback, but not much. But then the whole thing just got choppy here. It even broke here again. So sometimes you'll get signals, all these B wave breaks, and they won't go on with it. And this ARR is set up quite a few times here, and it hasn't got on with it. But eventually it has broken through and then really got on with it there. But the key there is to see that impulsive move and then a corrective pullback, and that's impulsive and then corrective here. And it has sort of stayed in the top half. That's what we want to sort of see from those momentum names, is that strength and then pull back and stay in the top half there and congest. But yeah, obviously we've had, the US government go and take a stake in, some US critical mineral companies there. So that's, that's a pretty compelling, that's a price, that's a game changer sort of news.
Big, we talk about institutional investors moving share prices.
Yes. Yes, that's a big, you get these things. That's why as soon as I saw that retail number, as soon as I saw that job number yesterday, I thought, well, that's atrocious. That is going to get the market excited about a rate cut, because the market wants to see some bad data so we can get rate cuts. But yeah, so that's amazing. There's this guy there. So that was BMM was another one that was pretty interesting there. This is sort of one that did set up a little VCP there previously, did break out of that good volume, did make a little cup and handle in here as well. So the whole thing tightened up, broke out again. So you could have just been buying 52 high here, or maybe half year high. So we talk about buying strength, Yeah, being the contrarian here, buying the strength here is what we're looking for there. You're not sort of seeing too much selling here, and then look at the volume through. The volume's pretty strong here so far in there. So this is definitely one to keep an eye on here. It's getting a little bit away from the 10-day moving average, but yeah, you want to sort of see how it can guess that. VMM FRS, yeah, really strong trend there. Had that sort of that congestion there, a bit of a VCP in here. Then it does break a little B wave, breaks it in here and then breaks it again as well. So again, you're not seeing, after seeing that good volume, really impulsive, really seeing that sort of sign of strength and then pulling back on low volume and then building again. That's what we're looking for. Those things just over and over again there. MGN was sort of one that we focused on before, but that's probably that would have shook me out personally. I've seen a few stocks here break the 10 and the 20, so it basically broke both of them there, but then it did come through here. Most of the military stocks did exactly the same thing now. I think if we look at ELS, broke the 10 and the 20, but then it has recovered. I think EOS broke the 10 but held the 20 here, went back up. What this did do is make a little bit of a VCP in here, Chris. There was a little 1, 2, this one day here, not the best signal, but this would have, personally would have shocked me out of some out of the 10 and some out of the 20 here if I'd stayed along that position through that run. But once it did come back up here and tighten up here under the high, potentially could have bought that as an EP sort of trade there, but not the easiest trade there. That's the only one that did hold up really well was DrainShield, DRO. And look at that. If you want to study the signal, look at that 7th of July, that day there. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that sign of strength, sideways congestion, sign of strength, whole thing tightens up here. Look at that, tightens up here, holds it there. The selling dries up. It's holding the 10 there. That is a cracking signal just right there. That's the money shot right there. So again, it's showing strength, held that 10, congested, comes through there. So you could have just bought a little break of that little range break there. I thought that was probably a cracking signal as well. I did replicate that DRO. YOJ did exactly the same thing here. See how it's right in the 10? Things pulled here and tightened up in here. Yeah, I did buy a little bit of this coming out of that little congestion. I just thought that was, again, there's strong momentum names here, showing strength, congesting. Look at the volume. The volume just tried up here into this here. So I just looked for a little range break there on the half hourly and brought that breakout. So we're just getting signals everywhere in the market at the moment there. And even, what we are seeing is some of the momentum stocks actually breaking the 10 and 20 and recovering again. That's unusual. So that's happening there. USL's another one's been pretty strong here, pretty strong name. Bit of a cup and handle there. Has broken through. What have we got there? TOR. Get a bit of a smaller name there, but there was a nice VCP, nice cup and handle in there, and the trend's been sort of rolling through there. You'll notice every pullback on that one there has been pretty light here. So CU6. This is probably interesting there. This is when I did see this trade there. It was one of the ones I was looking at as a bit of a B wave. Did break B wave break in here, did tighten up again, did come through again here, did like that sort of sign of strength through there. But the thing about the stock was that this had gone from 9 down to 150, Chris. That's a real heavy decline. So that's not showing relative strength. That's sort of showing relative weakness. So it wasn't one of my preferred stocks. I prefer to sort of see something strong. It's had a good run. I did sort of have a little bit of buyer's envy that I did take this trade here because it did work out quite nicely. But there was other stocks showing better strength for me personally, and that they've done okay as well. So, but not a bad setup there. But I'm just wary of those bigger declines there because you sort of do a bit of headway there. But it has done okay. NVG was another one. I think this might be in that military space. Could be another drain stocks there from memory. Chris, I'm not sure. did sort of come out of here. I think there was some sort of news there, popped up, ingested big VCP. And once it's broken the B wave here on good volume, that's a good signal there around, what's about that 5 cents. A bit too small for me. I did see this news come out there. It's pretty solid there, has gone on with it. No, AMN, last one there. A bit small for me, but we did see a nice little VCP sort of cup and handle sort of setup here. Did come through here. Volume's been pretty chunky, so that's interesting, but too small for me personally. And so there's just signals there. I'll probably rush through a few of those, but I guess what they all sort of did was show some strength, ingest back, show strength on good volume, pull back on lighter volume, and then either make a little 3-wave B-wave break or make a VCP where the whole each direction sort of tightened up. But very similar, a lot of similarities in most of those leading names there. But yeah, so what was probably most interesting to me was a lot of those mentor names that have cut the 10 and the 20, particularly those military names, which have really had a pretty powerful move. They have, gone back and actually gone back to new highs there. And that's we don't often see that, Chris. Normally those mentor names, once they start cutting the 10 and 20s, they normally roll off there. So, if you got forced out of a few of those trades, I wouldn't be beating myself up there, because I think that's just following the rules and following the process of what the greats would be doing. So, Drone Shield was really the only one that didn't kind of kick you out. I think they were sort of stronger than the neutrinos.
Yeah, it was definitely Drone Shield is a leader, and as you've said many times before, you want to be in the leader of the leading themes and the top sectors and industries. Before we move into the launchpad, which is where you often identify the next leadership group, there are a couple of members requests that you covered a lot of them. There's 4 left. So LDX from the top 30 quarterly momentum list. So big jump. How do you episodic pivot, I guess?
Yeah, but what we know about episodic pivot is if it's up over 14%, then we should stay away from. So that's too big a gap here. I mean, we're up 300% probably, 2 or 3%. So yeah, you want to just leave that ingest there. So you can't. There's no trade set up there. It's just a gap. So too big.
Too big. Okay, too big, too far. Definitely
Too much risk.
momentum. Yeah, too much risk to retrace and fill the gap. The next one, ATX, Alpha Tango X-ray. So that's almost 100% rise in the episodic pivot, but it did go on. So
yeah, look, it has pulled back to the 20 here, still sitting on top of the previous high. So yeah, you'd like to sort of see that square or tied up in a VCP, but it could still, there's a little bit of selling there over the last 4 or 5 days, so a little bit heavier than normal. But yeah, again, a bit small. I'd just like to see it sort of tighten up a bit, but could go again. This market is red hot at the moment, so yeah, could set up again. Probably just want to sort of see the tightens up there. It's up something like that. It might act to into the half hourly, but yeah, so we sort of had an ABC holding here. So you probably want to sort of see it come through a little. I want to sort of see it, come through low. See how this pulled back here. You got to wait for it to like a little swing high to be broken. Yeah, there's your possible entry there to read the trend there. So here, this might be you're looking at this as a potential level to re-enter then on that move there. But when that it is sitting on top of that previous high, that's pretty constructive. Just the volume's a little heavy, but I'm saying there are absolute signals everywhere in this market. So I wouldn't give that an A class. I might give that a B minus in terms of entry wise.
And just looking at those 3 surges, the first surge in the start of June sort of gives it 60-70% rise, something like that. Yeah. And then there's the next episodic period, which is sort of the second one. And then the third one, which goes for another 100% again. It's very, very rare for a company to go within such a short amount of time and from a low market cap to go 3 sort of more than 70% rallies within a matter of months. All the studies of high five flags. It's super, super rare to see more than 3.
And I think you see consistency, like what we've sort of shown to, but the one thing I've sort of picked up over the years is that, you can see how this held the 10 here, like it pulled back. See, even here, like it touched the, we hugged the 10 here. So even this little signal, that would have been a good, that day there, you can see, wow, this has held the 10 here.
Almost the drone one you highlighted.
Yeah. So you see when they run there, they tend to hold that moving average. So some of them will move slower, say the 20, others will move faster and hold the 10. But then once they start breaking those moving average which they originally held, that's not so healthy, So, like if this had held the 20 here, a MACD 20, that's fine. But this had held the 10 here. Now it's cracking below the 20. It is breaking its moving average. So it's not so much, that one moving average is better than another. It's basically the momentum of that. It's what that sort of stock is, is that a, I know Kalamagi talks about, he really looks for the fastest moving stocks and holding the 10. But, in the market that's not that hot, he will resort to looking at the less, the stocks that are moving not quite as fast that are holding the 20. So, but in this market, we're seeing plenty of stocks that are holding that 10. So it's just like, whether you're looking at first gear or second gear sort of stocks here. So, but I just think that breaking below there is sort of, maybe it's a break of character for that type of, for this stock that's been so fast here so far.
And two others, SRL and ELS.
SLS, is it?
SRL, Sierra Romeo Lima.
SRL. Yeah, look, this has been a pretty nice trend here so far.
Going for that third big driver down, not quite 100%, but
I mean, we had the perfect VC plan there, Chris. That's strong volume there. Whole thing contracts up, breaks out of the range, it stays tight. I mean,
I think you and I were talking about it, but it was below 50%, so neither of us traded it.
Yeah. I've got to call out here. To one of our traders out there. He's sort of talking about this little top, David Ryan talks about these little 3 bars and stuff there, type there. And so you see this type, when you see this strength and you see this sort of sideways sort of shimming for a few days, that is a setup to really watch. I was just, I've noticed this quite a bit. Like if I go through the US sort of the leaders, like say the top 9 stocks relative strength at the moment, they all do this all the time. So they run up really fast and then they peel sideways for 2 or 3 days and then break up and do that sideways action. So that sort of sideways shuffle there, that is a really good setup. I sort of thought about maybe trying to do some more work on that signal there because you're just seeing that in the strongest names over and over again. So, and that's obviously something David Ryan looks for. He looks for it untie. But I think that. But yeah, it looks pretty strong here. It's just getting it maybe a little loose, but there wasn't too much volume there. We showed a strength there. Even pulling back here now, Chris, the volume's not that heavy. It's getting lighter and lighter and lighter here. So you'd probably like to sort of see this use up a bit more time here. But yeah, I mean, there's one of those cases they held the 10 originally, did break the 10 a little bit, and then we came back to the 20. So yeah, some of these rules do get broken there. Sometimes you got to look at maybe the swing highs here once you start moving. But yeah, look, you just got to have a process. You got to follow your process there. You don't really, we never know what's, after these sort of setups come, you don't know how it's going to unfold. Sometimes it'll follow the typical, sometimes it'll hold the 10 or it'll hold the 20. Other times it might just hold the last swing low. So what we need to do as traders is just come up with a process, a mechanism to get those setups right, get a good entry, and to sell some into heat, and then try and have a mechanism to capture that big move. So whether you're using the last swing low, whether you're using moving average, whatever you use, just consistently, as you'll find that if you go under the fruit, you went through the 20 stocks there, you might find 10 of them might hold that moving average. Maybe a few of them will break swing, moving averages. Some of them will hold the swing highs, some might break swing highs. So you just need a consistent method to sort of capture the
movements. There's one little slide in the momentum. ELS, Echo, Lima, Sierra.
Oh, that military stock, yeah. So yeah, that did sort of, I mean,
Oh,
that
you
was,
did mention it earlier, actually. You did.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would have shaken me out. I mean, that's been, that move, I mean, you're talking about coming through the high here. So if you just waited for a 52-week high, you would have bought this back here on the 14th of May, 54 cents if you're on the close or what. I mean, that's gone up. There's that sideways shuffle there. Up with a VCP, still holds the 10. So, if you trade some into heat, then held the rest using the moving average, you'd be still with this thing here. You might have got knocked out at, 157. So just a cool 300%, move. But don't, you never got to pick the top. You just need a mechanism to, we shouldn't be trying to pick the top two. We do need to sort of sell some of the strength. That's, if you want to sort of, that, I think it's chapter 10 or something, Chris, chapter 10 or 11 there, sort of talks about the selling rules, in, I don't know,
Like money in stocks.
yeah. It's a great chapter because it's sort of, everyone's trying to be perfect there. It's the turkey story. You remember the turkey story, the turkey trap, so O'Neill talked about that.
Things are good. Things are good. They feed me. They feed me. They feed me. No, the person's coming to feed me. Chop.
Well, no,
So his story?
no, and it's the one with the basket. Basically, like the little kid sees the old guy with a little turkey trap there. He's got the basically the trail of food going into the basket, and he's trying to, he can only pull it down once to sort of capture as many turkeys as he can. So he sets it up there. He gets like a dozen turkeys run in there. Then one comes out, he goes, oh, goes back in again. I'll be happy with 12. And then he waits, and then two more come out. He goes, oh, if just one more goes back in, I'll be happy with that. And then he waits again. Three more come out. Is just one more come back in. I'll wait. Eventually they all come out. He gets left with nothing. Because he didn't have a mechanism to sort of get out once it's up again. So you're never going to hit the peak. So you're never going to pick the price there. You just need a mechanism process to sort of capture that. That's human nature, is want more and more and to want the high. We all want to be, I sold 1 cent from the high, on the best. That's just ego. We just need a mechanism.
You've told us that. There were some stocks where you bought 2 or 3 cents from the low, and then you held it for 6 or 9 months, and you'd said to me in hindsight, well, I wish I'd just waited for the 52-week high to break or whatever it was, and that would have been a far better trade. It would have been less time in the trade. You did pick the low, but the opportunity cost you paid was having the capital tied up for not being able to make all the other momentum trades you saw at the same time. And I remember reading in Bill O'Neill's books, and I think it was the model book that you gave me. It's like, how does this guy get every single one of those stocks? He gets a monster trend. He's absolutely killing it. He's showing me the low. He's showing me all the extra buy points along the way. And then you read a bit further on, or you read it in a different reference book. He says, yes, I got 20% out of that one, or 50% out of that one. He got different buy levels, which is all the things that you're showing us on these charts. But he didn't buy at the very bottom and sell at the very top. He traded it, took the lower risk trade, waited for another setup again, like these little shimmies that you're talking about, these little coils. And then he took another trade and he got another run out of it. So is that how you look at it? You're going to get the best risk reward chunk. You're not going to stay for the whole trade.
Yeah, I mean, I do like O'Neill has this rule there where originally his sort of rules were, he used like a 7% sort of stop, and if he got a 20% move, he would take your money off the top. That was sort of his sort of original rules there. But then he noticed when he got when a stock had a big jump, moved really quickly in a short period of time, like showed that relative strength. That said, oh, that's a leader. That's showing real strength there. What that sort of showed to him was that you had to stay with that stock for the next, I think it was 7 or 8 weeks. Yeah. So once you got that big 20% move in a short period of time, you shouldn't sell it. That's the one to hold here. So the one showing real strength. I mean, I'm just looking at MESA last year today. That has, that's an episodic pivot there. That's had an update here today. So that's come out of the gates there. Yeah, I think I sort of did mention you this one previously, that I think there's a stock to watch there, just because I think that sort of stem cell area is potentially quite a lucrative one. And stem cells, I mean, Anisoblast has raised a lot of money here and got a lot of, pitched its tank, in a lot of different areas, knees, backs, all sorts of stuff here. At some stage, they potentially could make money there. It might be like 360 and 0 there, a lot of money going out initially. Then you start making money, the whole thing can change here. So its update today was it was just showing how much money it's made in the first quarter after FDA approval. So that really does open up the channel here. So it's a big move here, about it. But that's a game changer. Episodic pivot, so that's a nice move here. So yeah, I'm lucky enough to be on that a little bit. So just because I did have a bit of a load sheet on that, I noticed that there was a bit of a Wyckoff spring here, Chris, as well. See how it sort of crashed down here.
Yeah.
It did break a little. I did buy this little B wave break here because it sort of had pulled back here. It's a name that I thought I want to once it comes through, breaks a B wave here, which it did here. I did trade some of this, did pop to a new high and then kind of retreat. So I did kind of get stopped out on some of that. It's come all the way back down here, gone to a new low again and bounced again. Looked like it might have been off here. So lucky for me, I didn't sort of try and chase that, but it's come back again. I made a little false break here. So, and then a little B wave break in here as well. Then bang, this has gone on here. So this is definitely one that to keep an eye on here. I think this is real sign of strength there, game changer for that. So I'll be looking at that sector too. I think Watersfield might be the other one in that. Keep an eye on it and all that. So that's again, that's sort of showing strength as well. You see these stem cells is definitely an area to keep an eye on here longer term. So yeah.
Well, you're talking about a leading theme there with stem cells. CPV, how does that fit to the story?
CPV was just number one on the list in terms of the weekly movers there. So obviously a smaller name there. Not much of a setup here, really. Just come out of the gates here. It's had a big jump here, and some big volume. So we probably just wait for that to sort of congest there. But that it has sort of shown some strength out of that low there. Clear's in that administration market area.
Oh, right. The link market services, that kind of thing.
Isn't it? Or something like that. I think it's
I want to look it up in Iris. But so Clearview Technologies, right? Is this the one where building integrated photo? Okay, it's like solar panels. So CPV. So just on the launch pad, because we've looked at this many times, you've identified things like lithium, uranium, property, gold. Is there anything that's showing up now, or it's just you're spoiled for choice with that many setups? You're just trying to trim back and find only the best charts.
Yeah, it's hard there. I found I watching a few of those there. Like I noticed IKE, it's been trending for a while. Not that liquid. EML as well, trending quite nicely as well. Not that liquid. So so I've seen a lot of these setups there set up pretty quite nicely. They've actually been, it's funny, like a lot of those stocks on that list there have actually been trending up for a while. They've just sort of recently pulled back into the range and then gone again. So there's quite a few of them actually that I noticed that were actually on my list, but I just couldn't trade a few of them just because there wasn't enough liquidity there. But I really like to look at that IKE. I thought that looked pretty good there. I just couldn't, because I did sort of make a little VCP and it's pretty strong. And some pretty chunky volume on the way up here, and then just dried up on the way back here, and then some volume coming back in again. So, but just very hard to trade there. Even EML, I thought that looked quite good there, but the liquidity wasn't great in trying to get a position there. So,
well, if we get another little coil or compression under the 116 area, maybe down to 108, that sells a VCP right up to the 52-week highs. That's
August
50 day.
Yeah, we're seeing Zip have a good run, and XYZ had a good run, and obviously Tyro's just popped here in the last week as well. So that did sort of show some strength. So we're definitely seeing that sector, hold up pretty well. So we know the sector's strong. So that's why we want to be playing in strong sectors. That's definitely, as Stan Weinstein has highlighted many times. MTH, I thought this was pretty interesting here. That's that and that sort of silver high there. So that's I mean, that's had a real big move, big pop, then congestion for a long period of time, and now starting to build again. Good volume on the way up, pulling back, light volume, held the 50, popped again, good volume, pulling back nice and tight here. That's a good looking setup there. I mean, SS1 was a great setup during the week as well here. That again had that big move, went sideways, sort of congested there. Did make a little bit of a B wave breakdown here, and then popped up, went, did this sort of congestion back again, but then it has come through here. When you might have actually, that would have been enough for me closing above this previous move to follow that. It did have a little, little throwback, which you often get. And then it's gone through here and then taken off here. So this is good signs there, but that's like good volume as well. So those silver names still look pretty robust. What else we got? We just got so much here, Chris. WBT, probably a little bit been a laggard, bit of weakness there. So has sort of come through, showing a bit of strength. For me, it's probably a bit of a watch from here. But yeah, SMN, get another one there, sort of maybe hadn't broken a swing high all the way down here, but then did tighten up in here. I did sort of like, there was some good volume though. That's why I sort of think volume's pretty important. We see volume come in and it pull back on lighter volume, and volume come back in again. Look at that little tightness in there. It's sort of come through there pretty good. I mean, it's just, as I say, there's just signals everywhere. I did notice Nuix, but again, this is a bit like the CU6. It's been a laggard, so that's like a $7.80 down to $2. That's a big move. So again, that's kind of being destroyed a little bit. So it's going to have a hard time pushing again here. So I know CU6 has had a nice move here, but again, I didn't trade CU6. I didn't trade Nuix because I wanted to sort of follow the strength. So not the stocks that have been hammered that hard. It's just, we don't see them have big moves, and we see them, when they, after they do have a bit of a move, they can get sold off there. We see an aggressive sort of sell off there. EBR, I did like this one actually. This is in that sort of heart. It's got a wireless, it's like a heart transplant, but it's a first wireless.
Well, that's tissue stimulation.
Yeah,
But else there's wires, cardiac
that's a little bit
synchronization therapy.
So it had a pretty strong run previously. Did have a larger pullback. That's probably the only negative. I didn't like the fact that it had this big pullback, but can see some volume taking place in here. I thought this was sort of constructive. So, I did sort of notice this move here. So I thought this looks quite good here, but so far it's okay, but it's not really kicking on there considering it's had some pretty good news and the market's on fire here. So, what else we got there? Handsome is in there. Again, that's gone back. That's a really positive update. Had a pretty good news here. So that's a sort of stock to keep an eye on here, Chris, because we're now got a bit of an AP there. Game changer news that's rallied up here, but we have rallied back up near the high here. So this might congest here. Maybe, hopefully, this might set up maybe a little cup and handle under the high. And we know we've got a news catalyst there, some a positive update for the company there that sort of to follow there. So, we just want to sort of see that set up. So, yeah, signals everywhere. What else we got there? Yeah, you tell me. I'll cover a few of them. Yeah.
Well, there's two that are on the members' requests, and the different fields. But what gets me looking at them is the news that came through. So NVX is the first one. And I was just reading this morning that there was a news announcement about some reciprocal tariffs that were going to be implied for China dumping graphite. And that graphite market is one that I've been able to trade twice this year successfully and happily. And at the same time, there's another one which is Linus, LYC. And that's the rare earths.
Yeah, but that's the only reason I'm not big on robotics, because that overhead. I just know when you got that overhead there, it'll face resistance there. So yeah, they can move, they can positive, but we know that when there's got a lot of overhead like that supply, they find it tough to get through it. So
Oh, well, that's one of the connections that I was looking at these two charts with, is going, there's so much overhead resistance with NVX, it's hard to trade. And Linus, what couldn't make sense for you is the launch pad kept showing that we were getting sort of, it's almost like just low-level institutional buying across the whole space. And there was just rare earths just kept coming up in the launch pad for 4 to 6 weeks. But if I looked at the parallel companies in the US, they were much higher in the launch pad side of things. They were sort of momentum driving, and the US stocks were just outperforming it. So there were correlations with the rare earths in Australia, but at a lower magnitude. The US ones were just running harder and faster with bigger strides. It makes sense now that we know that the government was buying, but it's not insider trading, because if you work for the US government and you're knowing that they're going to make a decision, they're going to start buying into that space, they might just be buying the one stock. But is it insider trading if you don't buy MP, but you buy a whole lot of other rare earth stocks? And that's,
Of course it's not. I mean, unless you know the company that they've bought from, then you just, that news is a catalyst event. So that's why, and I heard, I know that like Trader Line had their trader comments on the weekend, Chris. I heard Bond talk about catalysts as well. So sometimes you can get catalysts which can trigger a sector. So that was definitely a catalyst for that sector. But we were starting to see that the positivity starting to come through already. So obviously some people obviously knew what was happening. So you start to see that coming through there, and maybe base building low, and start to see strengths as well. That's often that sort of catalyst can kick into gear there. It's just like the job numbers yesterday. I thought, oh, that's the catalyst for this market to take off, because that's going to get everyone buzzing about, oh, you're going to get a rate cut now. How we go? Feel like it 2 or 3, So, things like that drive markets. So, regardless of valuations, how high other stocks are. So,
well, NVX was one of them, and the other one was LYC, which is that rare earth space.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that chart?
Yeah, it's just had that big gap there. So it's sort of, it's up near the top of the range there. So we draw your trend lines there. It's sort of hitting that top there. So I think sometimes it's better to sort of zoom out here, see what's possible. So this is the upside potential here to go back and retest that high there. But I notice sometimes when they gap up hard like that, there's sometimes we've seen a gap up hard, and then they'll have a little bit of a congestion. The safest re-entry after that positive news and then for it to cool off is to have a little ABC, just that little 1, 2, 3 there, and then hopefully you see volume dry up there. So you'll kind of gap up, come back, maybe hold the moving average again. You need sort of somewhere tight, that price to sort of tighten up, and if you had like a little ABC, just undercut the A leg, and then you're a moving average there. That at least you've got a mechanism to contain your risk. I think every good trade is got to have a low risk element there and a good upside target here. So, So,
well, we've got AQD is another one on the list, but yeah, MSB, you keep watching that on. I know you're long, so it's doing well for you. AQD.
Yeah, but all those lithium names too, Chris, as well. I mean, I'm sort of long 3. I'm overweight. I overweight lithium sector at the moment. I mean, we saw
this sideways shimmy. You've got MIN. I was just, as you were talking about that sideways shimmy, I was like, that's just that's perfect. And yesterday afternoon, that was lighting up for me, just going, oh, this is gold, right?
I bought some of this yesterday.
Okay,
For that reason, because I've seen this all over again. It's that little 3, little. I think one of the traders I know, Justin, calls this the SSS. I think it's the sideways shoe shuffle, which I think is a really good, the triple S. I like it. I think it's just so many names. If you follow the leaders in the US, you'll see those strongest names. They just do that little shuffle. I know David Ryan likes to see them under. He likes to see them under the high, but that would still be a show of strength there. That's the same signal he's looking for, whether it's just above the high or just below the high. That is a good sort of setup there. You'd probably like to see lighter volume. Maybe 2 days a lot of volume and slightly heavier come in there, but just a good setup there. And that was a nice VCP in here. It came through the top. I think the Oh, I mean, the IGO, that set up a really nice VCP. I mean, that's pull back, pull back, pull back in here, all that. That's the trigger day there. That's, and then we're coming through here. We closed at a new high here and then done on with it. So again, there's those classic setups there. I mean, the TLS, that one there as well, did a great VCP. That's, pull back here, pull back there. The only thing I didn't like about it was below the 50, but then it does gap up here and come back here. But interesting little throwback here yesterday. So, but yeah, just saw that sector. We saw that sector light up a couple of weeks ago, Chris. So the chat give us a little early heads up. And I did take to heart your uranium sort of stuff. When you see so many different uranium names keep hitting the launch pad, that's not a great reason to put on. So yeah, definitely chopped some of those up into strength there because we're seeing quite a few of them pull back here. So I thought Paladin's actually looking pretty interesting at the moment now. Hopefully it can congest here under the high and maybe set up another VCP again. But yeah, we just, pick and choose here. Don't go too crazy. Keep your risk under control. This is a time where sometimes when you go through a nice period of market like this and you make a bit of money, the danger is you'll start getting looser with your process and you'll stop. You'll start, giving yourself too much risk and cutting corners here. So do not cut any corners. Do not sort of alter from your process. Keep following the process. Keep, if you're having a good period of the market here, make sure you continue to keep doing all the things that have served you well and that are helping you get those positive results here. So,
Well, on that, I know before recording, you just said something which I completely agree with, which is if you're sticking to your process, it takes a lot of time. It's like I'll try to program a whole lot of it to streamline it, which is kind of where these lists are coming from.
yeah,
But this used to take me, 4 or 5 hours a day, and I'd look at 1,500 charts before I went home after market close every day. It's just, it takes a long time.
yeah, that's the downside too, as because I sort of have a process where I'll trade some into a multiple of my risk, then I'll move the rest up to break even, then I'll let the moving average sort of stop me out on some of the balance, and I might have a secondary target on my second parcel. So yeah, so if I go up to say 20%, I'll have I'll never risk more than 1%. I'll try and take off 2.75 times in a green line market like this, and then I'll move to break even, and then I might take off another parcel around 5 times if I get 5 times my risk, and then I'll let the moving averages dictate the balance there, or if I have like a big target that I've aimed for, which is like maybe whether it's 5 or 7 or 8 times your risk there, but I'm generally would peel some away at 2.75, 5 times, and maybe 8 or 9 times, and then maybe let the last parcel run. Yeah, but if you can get up there, but you don't often get to
You get total as a year.
8
Shit.
times your risk. But yeah, if you do, you got to take some up in that strength. It's good to have your selling rules. The key there is to have a mechanism to keep the account ticking over, contain your risk, and to capture the big moves. It's sort of you need a bit of everything in your plan, I reckon. So that's the one thing I've sort of learnt from all the greats there is that they are all taking some off into some early heat. They're all moving, they're all sort of containing their risk, obviously moving their stop up, and they're all letting some run here in some manner. So you've got to tailor that to your mechanism around those things. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a slog here for me the last year here, but I feel like the last sort of month or two there is really kind of feel like I'm definitely looking top right a lot more. I'm avoiding bottom left. I'm not afraid to buy those strongest names breaking out new highs, which I've had struggled with before. I'm watching those strongest names come back to those sort of 10-day moving averages and hold, where they come back in sideways motions or things like that. But definitely seeing those sort of stronger sort of setups there, which the greats sort of trade. And I'm reviewing the winning stocks more as well. So if I miss trades, I go and review. Like this list here today is a cracking list. if you went through and look at the top 30 quarterly momentum trade, just go through those. I'd say 15 to 20 of those will have some great technical setups there. Just 52-week highs, VCPs, up and handle setups, just all the classic momentum stock setups. Good volume on the up, contraction on the down, just textbook setups there. So, if you're new to this game, I mean, all the great traders, they all study the biggest winners of the past. O'Neill study the biggest winners. Davis study the biggest winners. Minabini's always studying the biggest winners. All the best traders study the biggest winners. What can they learn? I mean, I know, Mike Webster as well. He's a big proponent, a big guy for basically studying, the biggest movers, going through model books, going through the big, So, if you're new to this game, if you're still finding your feet, go and study the biggest movers there. Because you want to be, you want to be looking in the right areas. And so you need to sort of see which stocks are moving the fastest here.
Definitely. And there's only 4 left on the list that you haven't covered from the members launchpad requests. So if you want to be a member and have your requests, then join in as a member below. We're also, hopefully next week, we can launch level 2 beta so the members can actually see that. And a lot of this filtering that Gary's talking about in the list helps save us time so we can surface the best ones. AQD, Alpha, Quebec, Delta.
AQD.
Yeah.
Yep. Holding up nice. It's a nice strong stock here. So had that classic 100% rally, big move, impulsive, strong. And the whole thing is sort of congesting, tightening up under the high. The only thing we don't know with this, but sometimes these congestions can be really long, like that ARR as congestion for, I think, 13 or 14 months, which is extraordinarily long. Normally they can be like, say, 3 to 7 months. I'd say 80% will sit in that time frame. Not many go past that, but some do. So, but this is a good setup here. It's definitely showing the strength there, everything you want to sort of see. It might just be go through a congestion phase here, but definitely one to keep on the list for sure.
Probably worth just flicking ARR while I look up the next code, just to show the chart and that congestion.
You just need to sort of zoom out in this one here to see that. Because you get that big move and then you get the congestion. And sometimes they can come out like that. See how that big move, congested, and another big move. That's what you sort of hope for. You don't really want to see. It's a good lesson here, this one, because look at that. There's the big move there. So there's October, and then it takes, that's 10 months before it comes out the next one. And so there you have this move here. This only goes, so I guess this is the first drive. October 21 here, and then it goes 1, 2, 3. Then the 4th month we're coming out. So that's probably 3 or 4 months. That's probably what you want to sort of see there. That's a quick one. But, so there's 10 months, there's 3 months. And this one's been about 15 months. So it's been long. But 3 to sort of 7 is probably where a lot of them would probably sit. Those stronger names, congest, go again. That's what we're looking for. So it's a good setup, that one. Chris, you just have to be patient there with it. But you got to, that's when you probably put that stock, put the load up for that stock being news. So any, potentially the next important news might drive that stock on. And so
next one, another QPM, Quebec, Papa Mike.
QPM. Not looking so good on the weekly, but let's see under the daily there. Yeah, still a downtrend here. Hasn't broken a swing high yet.
The volume has ramped up a little bit, but it's still under the 50-day. Yeah. It's hard to
That's exactly the stock I'm trying to avoid even looking at trading. I just wouldn't touch it totally now. Sort of redefined. I want to sort of see that burst of strength, and then a tight congestion. And I want to see volume come in as well and show that strength. So I want to see at least some sort of swing high broken. And then the sort of pullback and tight congestion, and then as I see as the minimum.
The next one has a tight congestion, VEE, Victor Echo Echo, but it's not necessarily the swing highs and all the other parts that you want, and it is under the 50. No, I'm like 200 a line.
Yeah, I'm going to confess to actually having bought this yesterday, but it's so hard to trade that I ended up with such a small parcel that I just spat it out because I couldn't get it was hard to trade, but I thought the setup was good. And this was even though it's in that, it's crossed over to the military. It's another shipping company. It does,
It's not a manufacturer and sale of marine propulsion utilization systems, which as a large customer is a defense and they're
so it's marine stock with defense, but obviously really trying to get on track, really trying to get on the defense side here with defense taking off. When I sort of saw that, did catch my eye. I did get a little parcel there, but I just couldn't get. It was very hard, so I thought I looked like a good setup to me. Look, that was good buy-in. The sector's on fire, as we know. So we know if you play in the right sectors, the odds of success are probably more than double. But I just couldn't get set here. So it's funny, as a result of this trade piece, actually, I realized I had too many trades on. I was like, oh man, everything's setting up. There's just so many trades on. Clean up some of these smaller positions. So I cleaned up another position. Actually, cleaned up two. I think I cleaned up 3 positions yesterday. This one I got to get just more concentrated on the positions I really want to be in. So, but good setup. Nothing wrong with that at all. But hard trade.
I was looking at you were going through that list. I had the chart on Irish going, oh, can't see the B wave breakout. I can see the volume increasing. Anyway, the last one is SBT, Sierra Bravo Tango.
Well, you do want to see that. What you want to see is that strong burst. And then
the volume off the low. Compression, drive.
Then it all tightens up here, no selling here. And then you get maybe get a catalyst from news that drives it on here. And that's exactly what we did get. So I wouldn't say, perfect signal, but yeah. As soon as I saw military and I thought, oh, what they're trying to do there, and then they do little, they have started doing unmanned. I don't know if these guys are doing it, but I read recently that some guys are doing we're doing the drones, but then now they're doing the unmanned
minesweepers,
drone submarines.
So now they can saw some in Sydney at the defense user pet store. Like
I thought
length of the car.
So you're in that range space there, and drones take up. That's a really interesting area for them to next stock.
The last one, Sierra Bravo Tango. Hard to trade that one. Don't even know what it is. No, we've got it. Oh, that's TSX. Maybe I've written that down incorrectly. I'll quickly look to see if Semper's requests were. Just the Toronto Stock Exchange that was coming up showing.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I've written that list down incorrectly. For the members who send through their requests, I'll transcribe that.
Yeah. And I sort of traded this one recently, this AAI. It was just so gappy. So, very, hard trade. So just if I had to trade, that was actually one that I exited. I thought it's just gapping up and down here. So,
well,
look for fluence in this market. We're bereft of plenty of choices here. So you just want to be in the strongest names here. But I mean, that I can tell you that, Chris, that's a great setup for our market here. I mean, if that's a stock that's run hot and tightened up. I mean, that's a VCP sort of setup there.
Compression under the fire, 52-week highs.
And we're coming through here. It's So,
well, what is interesting, and this is something that you've talked about many times, is that those market leaders, the transition, rotation, CommBank is not at 52-week highs. And this is what you were talking about 1-2 months ago, is that rotation is happening. And for us to be able to get to new highs without the banks getting at the highs, we need the participation in the minerals and the other sectors that you've talked about. So CommBank, you've got that on screen. It's not at 52-week highs. The market is, and it's jumped and gapped up significantly. So is that a possible change of guard? We can have that refresh, that resurgence, and the market can keep going? How does that fit?
Yeah. I mean, you can't have the same guys just leading the whole way up here. So, when you particularly you got Combank on 30 times, you got Telstra on 30 times, you got Wesfarmers on 30 times. And these things are really run, and they're trading at, multiples that they just don't normally trade at. So, no dancing around it. I'm not saying that they're expensive, those stocks there, but they've all basically started to cool off here. Not Telstra yet, but yeah. And we saw Zero, which was hot as well. That's sort of cooled off as well. So starting to see quite a few of the leaders cool off here, which is really, and then start to see some new sectors emerge there. So, that's what we want to see. We want to see them cooling off. So while those are the hottest, some of those stocks have cooled off here, the index has not cooled off. That's a great sign to see some of the other sectors, So we're seeing obviously the resources, BHP, Rio, Fortescue sort of moving here now. So, it's a good sign. We're starting to see some rotation, some metals move there. So, so it's just really healthy to be seeing that. So, I still think that we can run through here till the first week of August is sort of that's my cycles are telling me from early April to early August is the sweet spot for this sort of, these cycles we're in. So far so good. Our momentum scores are still pretty healthy, Chris, as we know.
Last week we were at the 99th percentile for observations with how high the top 30 on the ASX were. And just when we did this list, we were still in the top 10 percentile for days of observations where we have really good momentum stocks on the ASX. So I'd agree with that very much from a statistical perspective. Yeah, we're right there.
Yeah. Yeah, we still got plenty of bears too. We've got plenty of people who, I mean, I understand why people are bear. It is, does seem a little bit, there's a lot of expensive stocks here, but the market's got this momentum here. I mean, you got two big things happening in the States there. You got that sort of massive tax bill on past. So
big beautiful bill.
Big beautiful bill. So
technically,
so that's that's going to reassert more money flow into the system in the US there. And the other big thing you've got going on is this AI revolution. When you sort of see these major events like that, so it's like the internet boom, industrial revolution there. These are kind of game changers for industry as well. So it's still pretty early in the AI phase here. We don't really know what AI is going to do. I mean, what we are sort of seeing is that companies are laying people off and using AI applications to, so that what that means is that companies are probably gonna make more money because they're able to lay people off and use some of these AI applications. So that improves the the earnings for these companies there. So therefore it's sort of a sweetener for like a lot of these companies do use that. So we don't know how effective that's going to be. I mean, it's going to cause some maybe unemployment to rise. That unemployment data yesterday was pretty negative for Aussie market. I probably might sort of start to see that come in. So that can be a negative down the track here. So that that might that's a negative to come here, but in the short term, the market's just going to be worried about more money in the system coming in. Companies, there's tax cuts there. Everyone's going to make more money. Companies, this AI revolution there could basically add to earnings for a lot of companies there once it comes through there. So that could, that creates new industries as well. I mean, my wife, so she's the sort of smarter one, and confidently, but she's sort of thinking, these sort of new jobs, like like a lot of old jobs sort of would disappear, but I can't remember the stat there. She says all the time, but basically something like a certain percentage of jobs every 10 years didn't exist 10 years earlier. So we're seeing new jobs. So this AI revolution there is going to cause some employment to grow here, but then it's going to create new industries, new jobs. So, we'll be, it's like thinking about these robots that are, this is the next phase of AI is the robots. I mean, people are going to have to build these robots, people have to service them. There's going to be a whole new industries that will set up around this AI that we don't have a place right now. So there'll be there's always new industries getting created left, right, and center. So we just the ability to sort of shift and change here. So that's why I sort of think this market who knows how much further it could go. I mean, it could get way more expensive there. There are, yeah. I mean, I used to look at the fundamentals and go, that's too expensive. I'm not buying it. But then, you're fighting the tape. The tape is so strong here at the moment. The tape is telling you who wants to go up. The tape is not telling us there hasn't been any aggressive selling so far. And the selling's tightening up. It's just high, low, high, low, high. Yeah. The market's telling us it wants to go up here. So we just gotta go with it until it does. I mean, what's the phrase there? There's there's no good stocks and there's no bad stocks. There.
I think I'll let you think of it while I think. Well, the market's never wrong, so we know that one. And the trend is your friend until it bends at the end. And have you remembered it yet?
Oh, sorry. There are no good stocks. They are all bad unless they go up. So market is. That's so. The thing to be careful is sort of like bulls can make money, bears can make money, but pigs get slaughtered. So just got to be careful not to be hanging on too long. So have a mechanism to keep you in the trade, keep trailing the stop here, and then let the market take us out here. If the market runs for another week, then rolls over, have a mechanism to stop you out. If it runs for 3 weeks, it goes further, have a mechanism to sort of stop you out then. So we don't know if it's 1, 3, 5 weeks, further here. All we know is the market is heading up here. It's got momentum behind it. We've just got to run with it while it's running here. That's the job of a good momentum trader. So might be different managing portfolios and stuff there, but from a momentum trading point of view, you need a mechanism to sort of stay with that trade. You don't know how heated this market can get here. It's the last few days, I'm getting really excited here because I'm thinking, well, there's just no weakness getting shown here. There's no selling. There's no aggressive selling coming in the market here. I just keep seeing stocks running up volume, pulling back on no volume. It's just everywhere. So that's it feels like, oh man, this is getting risk on. This is like, everyone's putting their risk on hat. Let's buy the riskiest stocks in the market. So that's exciting. It's kind of it does get a bit late stage, but there's plenty of times there in the past where I thought, particularly the last tech boom, I sat there for 3 months thinking, this thing's overdone. I'm not getting involved in this. And everyone around me made money except for me. So I was the smart one in the room, sort of thinking, oh, this is irrational. But
You got silly, or you get so great, honey.
It's okay to understand that it is irrational, but you still make money in a rational. Probably you can make more money in these irrational markets. I mean, like look at Bitcoin for the last 5 years. That's going to be the most irrational thing out there, but that's made a lot of people a lot of money. So, you follow the price here. I mean, this is a momentum market, driven market at the moment. So you've just got to stick with it until it kicks you out, basically.
Well, that end, we'll stick to that. We'll put a link here for education, a whole playlist of education of things like Gary's talked about that he's reflected on multiple times to keep refining his trading. And we'll say thank you very much, Gary Glover from Novus Capital.
Thanks, Chris.